Welcome to the Deep Dive, the show that, well, digs into the big ideas to help you get informed and maybe see things a little differently. When we face a problem that just won't go away, our first instinct is often to look outside ourselves or maybe just, try harder, more effort.
Right. Double down on the willpower.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But what if the real issue isn't about effort or even some kind of moral slip-up? What if it's something uh, deeper, like a spiritual sickness? Today, that's exactly what we're diving into. A really powerful question.
It really is a fundamental one. This deep dive is all about the spiritual malady. That's a really pivotal idea from the book There Is a Solution. And honestly, it's the core of the whole Alcoholics Anonymous program. Our mission today really is to get our heads around how seeing addiction not just as a character flaw, or a bad habit, but as this profound spiritual sickness, how that can totally shift your perspective.
A radical shift, you said.
Yeah, a radical shift. And that shift, as we'll explore, is what really opens the door to recovery through the 12 steps. It's about getting to the root, not just hacking at the leaves.
Okay. And to help us navigate this pretty significant territory, we've got a lot of great sources. We'll be looking at personal stories from A Woman's Way Through the 12 Steps,
Yeah.
the big book itself, Alcoholics Anonymous, 4th edition, and Experience, Strength, and Hope.
Those personal accounts are crucial. And we'll also bring in some history from Alcoholics Anonymous Comes of Age and Not God.
Right. Context matters.
Hmm.
And for some, like, philosophical weight, we're dipping into As a Man Thinketh and Augustine's Confessions, which is, wow, quite something.
Timeless stuff. And then we'll ground it all with some modern perspectives, too, from psychology and neuroscience, looking at books like In the Realm of Hungry Ghosts and Unbroken Brain.
So it's not just info dumping, right? The idea is this journey might actually lead to some, well, profound self-understanding for anyone listening, especially if you're wrestling with problems that feel, impossible.
Exactly. It's a pathway.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Part 1. Let's talk about where so many people start. This trap of willpower, this illusion that you can just control it if you try hard enough. Because for ages, the story people were told, or told themselves, about addiction was that it's a moral failing. You're weak, you lack willpower.
That's the dominant narrative, isn't it?
Totally. If only I could just cut down. Or why can't I stop after 1 or 2? That internal voice just beats you up.
Yeah, that self-admonishment. And people often internalize the criticism they hear from others, too, feeling like, yeah, what they say about my drinking is perfectly true and unquestionably deserved.
Oof. That's a heavy weight. Believing you're just not trying hard enough or that you're somehow fundamentally flawed, it's incredibly isolating.
It really is. And we see this exact struggle reflected again and again in the personal stories we looked at. Like, one person said, I wanted to quit, but each time I drank, it was worse than before. It's not just one bad night. It's this repeating, crushing cycle. Attempts fail. Trust in yourself just erodes.
Those infrequent and short sojourns on the water wagon,
Yeah.
as one source put it.
And they always end in a crash, usually worse than the last time. And this cycle, this constant self-blame, it keeps you stuck. It makes people focus outward.
How so?
Well, instead of looking inside, which feels maybe too painful or too overwhelming, you focus on changing external things. Like that person who said, I never thought about changing myself. I always thought about changing people or changing places.
Ah, the geographic cure. Or blaming your boss, your partner.
Exactly. You might recognize that, maybe in yourself or someone you know. This constant shuffle, trying to fix the outside world because the inside feels broken beyond repair. It's understandable, but ultimately, it doesn't work.
And what's so tricky, so insidious about this, is that often alcohol didn't start out looking like the enemy.
No, quite the opposite. For many, it felt like an ally, a friend even.
Yeah, a quick fix. A way to ease and drain away the tension, right? To feel, elegant and calm and enveloped, as one person described it.
It promises that moment of peace or confidence or belonging that feels missing otherwise. That initial promise is so powerful.
Which makes the later struggle even more painful because the thing that seemed to help becomes the source of all the trouble.
It's a powerful lure. There's this one analogy that really struck me, describing drinking as completing an unfinished jigsaw puzzle with one piece missing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. As soon as I took a drink, the last piece instantly and effortlessly snapped into place. It gave this fleeting feeling that everything made sense.
Wow. That captures it perfectly. It's not just about numbing out. It's about this fake sense of wholeness.
Exactly. It temporarily blocks out the reality of life, gives you those temporary good feelings, acts as a shelter from his internal and external life's storm. It's a counterfeit solution, but for a while, man, it seems to work incredibly well at hiding that deeper problem.
Which explains why letting go feels impossible, even when the consequences are piling up. It filled the hole, didn't it?
However, temporarily, yeah.
Yeah.
And destructively.
Okay, so alongside these personal feelings, there's the science, the biology, which makes that willpower argument even weaker. The medical world often calls addiction a disease, right? Recognizing it's a chemical problem, maybe with a genetic predisposition.
Mm-hmm. And what happens in the brain is, frankly, pretty stark. Alcohol, other substances, they physically change your brain chemistry.
How so, specifically?
Well, they hijack the reward pathways, they crank up cravings while dialing down your ability to enjoy normal things, a good meal, time with family, whatever. Your brain literally learns to prioritize the substance.
So it's not a moral issue, it's physiological wiring getting messed up.
It's definitely physiological. But then unbroken brain adds another really important layer. It argues that while the disease model is part of it, addiction is also learned.
Learned. Like a habit?
Deeper than a habit. Learned through your development, your social world, your culture. The book points out that most people who try drugs don't get addicted. It's specific brain changes, combined with personal history, that lead to what they call aberrant learning.
Aberrant learning. Can you unpack that a bit? What does that look like?
Sure. Think about normal learning. We associate good feelings with, say, accomplishing something or connecting with someone. Healthy pathways get reinforced. With addiction, the substance gives such an intense, immediate, artificial reward, like a huge dopamine flood, that the brain's learning system gets rewired, hardwired almost. It learns to prioritize getting that feeling above everything else.
Like a primal drive overrides conscious thought.
Pretty much, it becomes this deeply ingrained neurological command, and that creates this massive internal conflict. There's this intense, illogical desire for the drug, even while your conscious mind is screaming, "No, I want to stop."
It sounds exhausting.
It is. And then your body tries to adapt to the constant presence of the substance, but it often overcompensates, creating an even stronger physical need. It just digs the hole deeper. It's this complex mess of biology, learned responses, and your environment all tangled up.
And as things progress, that initial relief, that ally, it just disappears, doesn't it? It gives way to something much darker.
Oh, absolutely. People start seeing personality changes they can't deny. Maybe nightly blackout drinking, which is terrifying, not knowing what you did or said. You lose trust in yourself completely.
The self-delusion must be immense.
It has to be. And people develop this whole cluster of behavior patterns to protect their drinking. That means lying, sneaking, hiding things.
Pushing people away.
Definitely.
Wow.
And egocentricity and narcissism often develops that drives away the very people they need most. But it's not just like bad behavior for its own sake. It's a defense mechanism to protect the addiction, which has now become the center of their world.
And the paradox is crushing the thing they used to maybe feel better about themselves ends up destroying their self-esteem.
Totally corrodes it.
Yeah.
It allows you to wallow in self-pity, leads to years of suicidal thinking, deep self-loathing. You become internally programmed for failure.
And that dilemma you mentioned, tolerance goes down, disaster becomes predictable.
Yeah, it takes less to cause chaos, but the compulsion is still there, stronger than ever. It's just this downward spiral of hopelessness. They know it's bad, they see the wreckage, but living without the substance feels utterly inconceivable. It's the only solution they know, even though it's killing them.
Okay, so that's the trap, utter hopelessness.
Yeah.
But then comes the possibility of, well, a revelation, a different way of understanding the problem, recognizing it not just as physical or mental, but as this spiritual malady.
Exactly. That breaking point often comes when all the old ways just completely fail. Like that quote, "The cure of the bottle no longer worked. I broke out in a cold sweat. I was without hope."
That's hitting bottom, isn't it?
That's being really licked, genuinely hopeless. When the false friend becomes the undeniable enemy and you've run out of willpower, run out of tricks.
And sometimes it's triggered by something sharp, something external that cuts through the denial.
It can be. Like Augustine's mother in Confessions, someone called her a drunkard in anger, just a hard and bitter insult.
But it landed differently.
It shattered her. It forced her to see her own vileness, and she immediately condemned and renounced it. That raw, painful truth cracked everything open.
So it's in that cracking open, that moment the denial shatters, You start to see maybe it's not just about bad habits.
Right. You glimpse something deeper, more fundamental is wrong, that sense of spiritual emptiness. This shift from seeing it as just your fault to seeing this deeper sickness, that's the pivot point. Realizing the chaos outside comes from a void inside.
Which leads right into confronting what Augustine called the hard riddle of self.
Mm.
That quote is haunting. I had gone away even from myself, and I could not find myself.
It captures that profound disconnection, doesn't it? Feeling lost inside your own skin.
Yeah. He talked about his heart utterly darkened by this sorrow, hating places because he wasn't really there. The emptiness was portable.
I became a hard riddle to myself, and I asked my soul why she was so downcast. But she did not know how to answer me. That inability of the soul to answer itself, that points beyond just mental distress.
It's the soul sickness.
Exactly. It goes beyond the physical symptoms, beyond the mental obsession. It touches your core. It's that moment of realizing my very sanity is on the line here. Not just regret, but an existential crisis, a fundamental sense of being broken.
And in the realm of Hungry Ghosts, that book really dives into defining this, right? Talking about a loss of essence.
Yeah, it offers a powerful framework. It suggests that starting way back, maybe even in infancy, we begin to shut down parts of ourselves that their environment is unable to recognize or accept with love.
Like a defense mechanism.
Exactly, a way to cope with feeling unseen or unloved. But this shutdown creates a hole, this nagging sense of empty deficiency we carry around, like a part of you is missing or fundamentally wrong.
And that feeling, that hole, drives behavior later on.
Constantly trying to fill it or hide it, seeking validation, numbing out, self-sabotaging, all stemming from that perceived core lack.
So it's not just feeling bad, it's this deep, often unconscious belief that you are bad or incomplete.
Precisely. And here's the really crucial bit. People don't know that the whole is a symptom of a loss of something deeper, the loss of essence. They think the whole is how they really are at the deepest level and that there is nothing beyond it. They think something is wrong with them, something is basically wrong.
Wow. So you mistake the symptom for the fundamental reality of who you are.
Exactly. And that belief that you're inherently flawed fuels the addictive behaviors. They become attempts, however misguided, to cope with that feeling.
So addiction isn't purely self-destruction then. It's a distorted search.
In a way, yes. The book calls addictive behaviors the yearnings of your soul. A search for connection, for peace, for transcendence, but taking a shortcut. It calls it a lazy man's path to transcendence.
A lazy man's path, meaning?
Meaning it's seeking something legitimate connection, meaning wholeness through a counterfeit, a simulacrum. Like using a drug to feel connected or spiritual instead of doing the deeper work.
Like quenching thirst with salt water.
Perfect analogy. It feels like it works for a second, but makes the underlying problem worse. And this whole spiritual malady is characterized by self-will run riot, pride, egocentricity.
Okay, self-will run riot. What does that look like in practice?
It looks like your own ego, your desires, your need to control, becoming the absolute center of everything, always needing to be right, needing your way, regardless of the cost to yourself or others. It's a kind of blindness.
Blindness to consequences.
Yeah.
And to the need for help.
Exactly. And this requires a deflation at depth to even start recovering. Your ego has to take a hit. And it all stems from those distorted beliefs about yourself feeling blameworthy, thinking you deserve the abuse, or that your helplessness is permanent.
Like, as a man thinketh, says.
If a man's mind hath evil thoughts, pain comes on him as comes the wheel the ox behind. You create your own suffering through these core beliefs, a self-made prison.
Okay, so if that's the diagnosis, this deep spiritual malady, this emptiness, this distorted self, then the 12 steps are presented as the spiritual cure.
Not just rules, but a pathway to heal that emptiness and reconnect with your true self.
And it all starts, foundational step, step 1. We admitted that we're powerless over alcohol, and that as a result, our lives are unmanageable, which sounds like admitting defeat, maybe weakness.
But it's framed differently, isn't it? It's described as a simple act of admitting what we already know to be true. That deep down, you know your attempts to control have failed. Your life is unmanageable because of alcohol.
So it's about honesty, not weakness.
Radical honesty with yourself. And that admission, that surrender, is what makes you ready to accept the simple kit of spiritual tools laid at our feet. You have to let go of the illusion you can fix it yourself.
That makes sense. You have to empty your hands before you can pick up new tools.
Beautifully put. And step 1 is powerful because it breaks the isolation. When you've hit that wall, when you've truly admitted defeat, Your mind finally opens up. It's that exploratory readiness to accept one's limitations. That's essential for the shared honesty of mutual vulnerability openly acknowledged that you find in recovery groups.
So admitting powerlessness isn't just a statement, it's an action. It's releasing the burden.
Yes. Opening yourself to a different kind of strength, the strength of connection, shared experience, guidance. Letting go of that toxic self-sufficiency.
Which then naturally leads into step 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. For someone feeling totally alone, defeated, maybe questioning their own sanity, this must sound like, well, a lifeline.
It's described exactly like that. A glorious release from being all alone. The realization you don't have to do this impossible thing by yourself. That something else, some other power, can help.
And that allows you to stop fighting.
Yes, stop fighting yourself, stop fighting reality, and practice the rest of AA's program with a sense of hope, not despair.
And the power greater than ourselves part, it seems intentionally flexible.
Very much so. It's broad, inclusive. For some, it's God in a traditional sense. For others, it's the energy, the spirit, working through relationships with other people, connection itself as a higher power.
Or even just the group, like those 4 men representing collective strength.
Exactly, or nature, or universal principles. The point isn't what it is, but that it's greater than your own compromised self. And crucially, the goal is restoration to sanity, which means being restored to our deepest selves.
Back to your true nature.
Back to our strengths, to our way of knowing and being, free from the addiction and the distorted thinking. Back from that hard riddle to a place of inner clarity.
So it's not about religion, necessarily, but finding some source of strength outside your own ego.
Precisely, whatever resonates and provides hope.
And that belief, that hope, sets up step 3. Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. That sounds like a huge step, a real leap.
It is. It's called an act of spiritual courage, a courageous decision to do a courageous thing. It means consciously letting go of our confidence and our pride in the material ego.
The ego that insisted, I can handle this.
The very same one, that self will run riot. Step 3 is acknowledging, okay, my way isn't working. My best thinking got me here. I need different guidance.
Like that quote from 24 Hours a Day.
Yeah. God cannot teach anyone who is trusting in a crutch. I will throw away the crutch of alcohol and walk in God's power and spirit. It's an active choice.
An active choice to trust something else.
To trust that this power, however you conceive it, has a better path than your own self-destruction. It's a commitment, intellectually and emotionally, to trying a new way.
Okay, so decision made. Then the work seems to turn inward, right? This spiritual house cleaning with steps 4 and 5. Step 4, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. That sounds intense, like dredging up every mistake.
It sounds daunting, for sure, and many approach it that way initially. But the insight share is that it's not just about agonizing over my past.
What is it about then?
It's about getting to know myself better, taking that searching and fearless look, yes, but with a spirit of wanting to understand, not just condemn.
So how do you actually do a fearless inventory? What does that look like practically?
Well, the guidance usually involves looking systematically at key areas. Resentments are a big one. Who are you angry at? Why? And crucially, what was your part in it?
Okay, resentments.
What else? Fears. What are you truly afraid of? Failure, rejection, intimacy. And how have those fears driven your actions? Then, harms done to others, specifically listing who you hurt and how.
That sounds hard.
It is. And sometimes there's a review of sexual conduct, looking honestly at motivations and impacts there too. Fearless means writing it all down, getting it out of your head, no matter how uncomfortable.
It's not about beating yourself up, though.
No. As one woman put it, if you can discover one tiny thing about yourself that gives you some insight, you've done a 4th step. It's about seeing the patterns, the underlying motives, those distorted beliefs, like feeling worthless, that fueled the behavior.
So identifying the roots of the spiritual malady within your own life story?
Exactly. Seeing how maybe a lifelong need for approval or a deep-seated fear shaped choices, it's understanding the why, not just the what.
Okay, understanding, not judgment. Then step 5 takes that understanding and shares it. Admit it to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. Sharing it with another person feels huge.
It's incredibly potent. It offers healing because it breaks the isolation. Secrets fester, right? Sharing them, being truly seen, flaws and all, starts to build a new kind of relationship with other people.
Based on honesty, finally.
Yeah, making yourself vulnerable and open maybe for the first time, and discovering that telling the truth doesn't always result in catastrophe and can be a great relief. Imagine the weight lifted.
Like Bill W. experienced with Father Dowling.
Exactly. He shared not just what he'd done, but what he'd left undone, the omissions. And the warning is stark. Holding back here is perilous. It keeps feeding irritability, anxiety, remorse, and depression.
Because the secrets still have power.
They do. So that shared vulnerability, that radical honesty with another trusted person, it's foundational for real connection and self-acceptance. It dismantles the shame.
Okay, so you've done the inventory, you shared it. What's next? It feels like there needs to be a willingness to change based on what you found.
Absolutely. That leads directly into step 6 and 7. Step 6, we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character.
Entirely ready. That sounds like a high bar.
It is, but it marks a shift. And then step 7, humbly asked him to remove our shortcomings. This is about moving from identifying the problems to actively seeking transformation.
And humility is key here, isn't it?
Crucial. But it becomes something we really wanted rather than as something we must have. You start to see humility not as humiliation, but as truthful and honest in dealing with myself and God.
You realize the pride and self-will were actually the problem.
Precisely. They were hindering you, causing pain. So becoming entirely ready in step 6 means genuinely wanting those character defects. The selfishness, the fear, the dishonesty, gone, not clinging to any part of them.
And then step 7 is the asking, the surrender of trying to fix them yourself.
Right. Humbly asked him, acknowledging you can't just willpower these deep patterns away. It's accepting limitation. Like the source says, the sober alcoholic was clearly not God, made whole by acceptance of his limitation.
So true strength is in accepting you don't have all the answers or all the power.
Exactly. It's aligning with something greater and letting go of the ego's need to run the show. It's liberation, really.
Okay, so after that deep internal work, the focus seems to shift outward again, towards healing relationships. Steps 8 and 9.
Repairing the damage done.
Step 8. Made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. Again, the willingness seems key.
Absolutely. It's the internal shift before the external action. And it's about accepting responsibility, but importantly, not from shame, but out of commitment to our own growth and to the peace of mind of other human beings.
It's constructive, not just self-flagellation.
Right. And there's that crucial other side mention. Becoming willing to forgive any harms I believed they'd done to me. It cuts both ways. You can't fully heal if you're holding on to resentments.
Makes sense. Release others to release yourself.
Pretty much. Then step 9 is the action. Made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others.
Okay, that except when to injure part seems really important. Needs judgment.
Huge discernment is needed. It's about making things right, offering restitution, apologizing, changing behavior. But the primary goal is to heal, not cause more harm. Sometimes a direct confrontation would injure someone, so you find another way.
It's not about us, but about others.
Exactly. It's about their healing, providing restitution where that's appropriate. And woven into this is the idea that our recovery is the living amends we make to ourselves.
How so?
By staying sober, by living differently, you're healing the harm you did to your own self-esteem, your body, your potential. You're restoring yourself. It acknowledges that fundamental truth. Defective relations with other human beings have nearly always been the immediate cause of our woes.
So these steps directly address that core issue, rebuilding connections and self-worth through action.
Reversing the isolation, rebuilding trust, step by step.
That's really powerful recovery as a living amends to yourself. So the major repairs are underway, but it's not over, right? How does this become a sustainable, transformed life?
Right. It's not like you graduate. The last 3 steps are about ongoing maintenance and growth, continuous spiritual practice.
Step 10 sounds like that daily maintenance. Continue to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. Like a daily tune-up.
Exactly. It's about maintaining that rigorous honesty day to day. Continue to take a personal inventory of my truth and promptly admit it. Notice something off: resentment, fear, dishonesty creeping back in. Address it. Now.
Don't let things fester.
Don't let them fester. Go deeper with the truth and always honor it, even if it feels uncomfortable. Because recovery is framed as a daily reprieve, contingent on the maintenance of our spiritual condition. You have to keep tending the garden.
Keep weeding out those defects of character before they take root again.
Precisely. Keep the spiritual malady at bay through constant vigilance and honesty.
And step 11 deepens the connection started in 2 and 3. Sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him.
Yes, this is about actively nurturing that connection. It's this practice that makes intuition and inspiration possible. It quiets the noise, allows for guidance.
Meditation is the superfood of recovery. I like that.
Yeah, it centers you, brings you present. It gives your brain space to make conscious choices instead of just reacting based on old programming, old fear, old anger. It builds that inner resource, that sanctuary.
A space for sanity.
A space for sanity. And then finally, step 12, the culmination. Having had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs.
This is where it becomes about giving back, paying it forward.
Absolutely. Taking your own transformation and offering hope to others still suffering, turning pain into purpose.
It's a society of alcoholics in action.
Right. And based on that core principle, I can't keep it unless I give it away. Helping others reinforces your own recovery, deepens your own understanding, cements your own spiritual growth.
Transforms isolation into connection.
Profound connection and purpose.
Yeah.
Moving beyond the self-centeredness of the illness to a life of service. And that spiritual awakening mentioned, it's often not a lightning bolt.
More gradual.
Often, yeah. A profound shift in perspective, a sense of peace, connection, meaning that just wasn't there before, something previously unimaginable.
So, living this way, practicing these steps. What does that transformed life actually look like? What are the fruits?
Well, the big ones mentioned are serenity, sanity, and detachment with love. That internal conflict, that war inside, it gets replaced with peace.
Sanity restored.
Sanity restored. Honesty with yourself just becomes normal, possible. You reach a point where you don't need to hide anything. Think about the freedom in that.
Incredible freedom.
Yep.
And relationships change.
Radically. They become based on mutual caring as well as self-care, moving away from that old egocentricity and manipulation. Real connection.
And that ability to predict your own behavior.
They're huge. One of the best things about being sober, as someone put it. For a person who lived in chaos, wondering what damage they'd do next, finally being able to trust yourself, that's immense.
Knowing you won't betray your values tonight.
Exactly. It's a profound restoration of self. And there's this feeling of being careless, not apathetic, but
Less burdened.
yeah, because the higher powers are doing the dieting, and they are relieved of the responsibility of trying to control everything. That crushing weight is lifted.
It leads to a new world.
A completely new perspective. Everything about me appeared with a different aspect. It's that glorious release from being all alone, and the powerful idea that what is possible for one life to realize is possible for all.
Healing is possible. Moving from that emptiness, that loss of essence, to real fulfillment.
To connection, purpose, and even unspeakable joy.
Wow. What a journey we've mapped out today, from being stuck in that loop of willpower and self-blame.
That frustrating cycle.
Yeah, to understanding addiction as this deep spiritual malady, that empty deficiency, that hard riddle, and then seeing how the 12 steps offer this path toward healing it.
A really comprehensive personal prescription. Not just for stopping drinking or using, but for getting back to your deepest selves. A whole new way of living.
This deep dive really highlighted how admitting powerlessness, being rigorously honest, and embracing a spiritual approach can break that brain lock.
Replace the isolation with connection, the shame with actual self-acceptance. It's a powerful testament to change being possible.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up, here's something to maybe reflect on. If this journey from that empty deficiency, that soul sickness, to a life restored to sanity, filled with unspeakable joy, if that's truly possible, a transformation beyond what anyone had ever dreamed, what unfathomable transformation might be waiting for you if you were to honestly face your own soul sickness, whatever form it takes, and step onto a path of self-discovery and real connection?
It's a powerful question to sit with.